And hi everyone, welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm Rick Zanotti, and today I'm joined by Harold Muliati, who is subbing for Jeff Blanchard. We don't know what happened to Jeff.
He's lost out there somewhere.
He is lost in the Outback this week, so we have no idea where he went. Not like Jeff, so we hope everything's good, and it's just his Mac. It's always his Mac. We hate that Mac. Anyway, and with us today, we've got, now, I'm going to get your name right, Ramon Trotman.
Yes, sir.
Yes, from Lifestyles Design Photo, LD Photo. He's got a YouTube channel called LD Photo. We'll show it later on, and he's joining us from New York City, my ex-hometown. I was in Queens. He's in Brooklyn. He's got better pizza than we did. But anyway, hey, here we go. Let's start the intro. And we are back. And, pre-show, we've been waiting for Jeff for a while. So pre-show, we were talking with Ramon, and he was wondering how we met him. Because, in this world of YouTube, you don't know how anybody gets your name or anything else. And I told him it was a search. I was doing a search on, I think it was people who had done reviews or commentary on DSLRs versus mirrorless. And I tend to shoot a lot mirrorless, but I used to do a lot with DSLRs. And his came up. I think it was one of the first that came up, actually. And I watched it, and I said, "Oh, I like him. We need to get him on the show. He's great." And he's here. So that was fun. And I'm glad you came on. And
thank you for the invite.
Spending your Friday afternoons with us little geeks over here on the West Coast. But it's great. You do a really good job on your podcast. And I like how you also do...
Thank you.
Your question and answer sessions where you help people try to figure out what cameras they want and everything else. And I think that's great. Now, like we were talking pre-show, anybody who's got the guts to get on YouTube, run a channel, do his thing, have a full-time job to boot and do everything else, yeah, kudos to you. You do a good job on that. And it's a lot of fun.
It is nerve-wracking, I got to tell you. There's a strategy to it, too.
Yeah.
Because I know there's one guy in the corner that's like, well... You didn't talk about the X, Y, and Z feature.
The haters, yeah.
But you kind of leave a little out so they can hop in the comments and shine and it adds to the engagement. So it's interesting.
One of the things I really liked about you is that you're very upfront, honest about what you think, and you're not playing the politics of I have to love Sony or I have to love Nikon or whoever it is. Because they're not paying you a penny, just like they don't pay us a penny. It's like we say what we say because it's what we feel.
Yeah,
if you don't love us, it's okay.
Of that.
Yeah.
I often joke because on our tech channel I say the same thing.
Yeah.
I buy these phones and these cameras and whatever else to have the right to complain.
It's true.
If you send me something for free, then I kind of...
Yeah, we're customers. Now, did you ever buy... You were talking about getting that Sony A7 III, the new one, the new full-frame... $2,000 camera, which sounds really, really alluring. It sounds like, man, I want that. And I almost did, and I didn't. And I don't know if you've done it or not yet. You were kind of having some thoughts. At first, you went, maybe I was wrong.
No, I bought a Fuji instead.
You bought the Fuji?
I bought the XT2. Yeah.
Did you like it? Do you like the Fuji?
I am a believer in the Fuji.
Okay.
Less about the tech specs. I don't really get into the X-Trans processor versus Sony's backlit processor. I don't care.
They're all Sony anyway.
Yeah, pretty much the end of the day, right? But that Fuji's got a really special vibe of its own with the physical dials and... Yeah.
Now, I may be one of the few people on Earth who actually hated my Fuji XT2.
Really?
I bought two of them. We bought two because we thought that would be a good video camera. And we found out it wasn't really. It's a beautiful photo. The photos to me rival Canon. They're really close to Canon. The color science is, I'd say, as good or better.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But the dials drive me crazy because I've got bad eyes, so I need my glasses to read those dials. And if I'm in a dark room or something, I can't see the dials. I'm going, oh man, this sucks.
I can understand that.
But other than that, I did like it. The lenses were good. The Fuji lenses are beautiful. I think you said you have Minolta lenses too, I think.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of old vintage Minolta lenses.
Will they work on the Fuji?
Yeah, I got an adapter and it worked. It's the focus I could never really nail to be tack sharp, but they definitely have a look and feel of their own. So I quite enjoy shooting it sometimes.
Yeah,
but I'm not a manual focus lover. I know some people say,
I go AF.
You don't use manual focus, you're not a real... Like,
no, that's BS. Care. You know what's funny? I don't like manual focus because I'll tell you, manual focus is only as good as your eyes are and what you're shooting. Yeah, and
you can't trust peeking all the time.
You can't. And autofocus on the Fuji's great. I
have no problem with it. It's a solid 4 photos, I gotta say.
Yeah,
it is a mind-blowing experience. Maybe my A7 II might produce a better image, but the colors on the Fuji and the experience of using it is just it's addictive.
Yeah, I still have one of the XT2s. I have to get it repaired. I sold it actually, and it came back like within days saying it was not working. I went, it wasn't?
Oh, no.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. I was talking to a guy I know. He said there's a possibility that internally the cable that connects to the EVF and the viewfinder in the back was loose. And I don't know how to fix that. So I've got to send it in to get it fixed. Because it was showing an image it was like half an image. I had a problem with an LG phone like that. Half the page was good, half the image, and the other half was all garbled. And I went, oh no. So I have it still. So I kept it. I'll probably keep it at this point.
As well.
And
you'll probably fall in love with it.
I did like it. It's just that it wasn't what we got it for. I really thought it was going to beat the GH5 or the GH4 for video, and it didn't quite get there. It was close, but it required a little too much babysitting to get it exactly. But I loved it for photos. I thought the photos, it's a beautiful APS-C sensor. It's a Sony, I think, backlit sensor. Yeah. It just looks good.
It's amazing. And like I really love it.
And I think you've done Canon before.
Yeah, I've reviewed the 5D Mark IV recently, the 6D2.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Canon's color science when it comes to skin tones,
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's unrivaled. I don't understand what Canon is doing.
I don't know, but they've got Sony's gotten better. But
they've gotten better, but they still ain't get Canon.
It's still not there. And Fuji is, I think, as good or maybe better. They're really close. Because
I love my street stuff in Fuji.
Yeah, and that's you and I have that in common because I really like street photography too. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. It's fun just catching people, just normal people, just doing their things. Well, and I love buildings. Like New York is great for that because you've got buildings and everything.
It's fun to. It's good, nice to catch people when they're not nervous because they're thinking, oh no, I'm having my picture taken.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's always when you get the best pictures. Is when you're like when you have someone in the studio, you talk to them and you kind of you want them to relax so that they're not in I'm having my picture taken mode where they're kind of petrified.
Yeah, I agree. And street photography is my darling by far.
Yeah, you have fun. You said on the way to work you take pictures.
Both. I mean, sometimes I'll leave like 5 a.m. so I can roam the streets a little early before work and then after. But I really do enjoy street photography at night.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Because it was such a difficult. It's a difficult subgenre.
It is, and it's pretty. And I don't know, there's something about the night lights and everything, and even the silhouettes of people look good. It's just
it's amazing.
And living in New York, man, that's like the best place to shoot night photography. It's, I mean, you could just
probably cheating. New York does most of the job for me.
But, I know, but it's so cool. I mean, you go to 42nd Street, whatever you want. Lights, hey, here's 42nd Street. You want darker? Let's go somewhere else. And it's all there. And the buildings just look cool with the cameras. I went with a Nikon. I had a Nikon D750 at one point, and it wasn't nighttime. Unfortunately, we weren't there at night. But during the day, we shot some really clean shots. I was just shocked at how clean that Nikon took pictures. I just don't like the Nikon ergonomics, if you will. I didn't care for it that much. But the D750 took very good pictures. Color science wasn't bad. But the sharpness of, I had a Tamron, I think 24-70. It was so sharp. It just looked great. And
they came a long way, didn't they, Tamron?
Yeah, they're really good now compared to what they were. I mean, the original Tamron was like, ew, that's bad.
Yeah, they were like budget lenses.
Yeah, same with Sigma. It was like, God, you know what's funny about Sigma though? and we've had Sigma on the show at one point, you know, their lenses, all of a sudden, they had the art lenses, and everything got really good with Sigmas. They came out with that 50 millimeter. That was just incredible.
Yep, then a 35.
But you know what's funny? That all happened after Fukushima. And we're convinced radiation got them. And all of a sudden, they went from crap to good. Not sure why, but it's like being a superhero. Hey, radiation just made me Spider-Man.
That's hilarious.
But it's exactly, because after they're in Fukushima.
Yeah.
and
after
you
it happened, it was a whole new ballgame.
Oh my gosh, what happened after that? To suddenly quality, they got imbued with quality. Good for them. Because they really do put out beautiful lenses right now.
Oh, Sigmas are cool.
They're nice. And they're big, but they're good. And what is it?
God.
12 to 20, no, 24 to 36 is a great lens. On APS-C sensors, it's a beauty.
12 to 36. So what is that? That's about a 24 to 70, right? Ish.
Ish on a crop sensor. Yeah, it's probably about that much, and it looks good. It's not a very wide range, but it still looks really good. And
I shot with their 35 1.4, was it?
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I couldn't get over, first of all, how huge that thing was, because I was shooting with it on an 8.7.
It's about like 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds.
It was wild.
Yeah.
Like, and I never understood. I'd read articles about rumors of Sigma making native Sony glass. I was like, what are people talking about? And then when I actually shot, I was like, oh, this is what we're talking about. We can shave 12 pounds off of this lens.
Yeah.
After they made a native mount.
Actually, they have a 30 millimeter Sigma for Sony. Have you ever tried that one?
No.
I had that one. It's only like a $300 lens. Oh. It's amazing. It's a beautiful lens. The sharpness and the colors on that thing.
I had to look that up.
And
I
for
don't
$300
like the 35 range though, the focal length.
You don't like it?
Am I the only one?
You don't? Well, it's a small focal. I mean, things look small in 35 millimeter. Did you say you like it or don't like it?
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not my
favorite
favorite either.
I'd either go like 28 or I'd go 50 or 85.
Yep. 85 is a good one, and 100's not bad. But you're right, 35 is nice, but to me, it's small. It's not a good portrait lens because you're right on top of someone. It's not that good a street lens because you're not getting a lot of detail. It's wider, and it's just not a real close lens. It's good for video. It's not a bad video lens.
Okay, well that makes sense.
But it's not great for I don't think it's a great photo lens. And I don't know any people who shoot portraits with it or anything else. They may do some like street photography because then you don't have to get that
Instagram lens. That Sigma 35, a ton of Instagrammers use it for portraits.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, Harold, he does a lot of portraits and stuff, and you're using mostly a 50, right?
Well, I use the 50, and then I have that 70 to 200.
Yeah, that's nice too.
I like the longer focal lengths for portraits because then you get less geometric distortion, and you get I don't know. I think
some nice compression.
Yeah, it gives it a more kind of. It's funny because you're further, but I feel like it gives you a more kind of personal feel to it. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's actually one of my secrets. My street photography is sometimes I'll use, like on my Olympus, I'll use that 45. So that's roughly a 90, or I'll use my Minolta 70 to 210 in the street, and people are like, "What are you doing?" You know, I mean, I'm a big dude. I don't want to intimidate anyone, so it's not in my best interest to Bruce Gilden people out in the streets of New York. But I find like that compression on the street is so amazing.
Yeah.
When there's like some busyness going on in the background, there's some light coming through, you backlit the subject.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It can be very good.
Yeah, that sounds good. And any 70 to 200 is just a nice. Sony has a really nice 70 to 200, the 4.0. I love that. I almost didn't want to. I would have kept my Sony lenses, but they don't adapt to anything.
Right.
I looked everywhere. I couldn't find one adapter that could actually do focus from the lens. I went, darn. I would have kept them. I thought they were beautiful. They're fast. They focus quickly.
They're so pricey though.
And they have a beautiful look. But
I think review-wise, that's the favorite lens in the Sony world. That 24 to 210, is it?
You like that one? Yeah. I had the 70 to 200 Sony, and it was an f4 4.0. It was nice, and that was like $1,300 lens, I think.
Yeah.
And then they had the f2.8 70-200, $2,500. I went, 25? Oh no, I don't want it.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I had to do a bit of research when I first got my A7 II.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of the pro at that time, what would be considered pro glass, like the Zeiss and whatnot. They were all f4. I was like, what are these people doing? I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, you make your comparisons over in the Canon world, you'd see 2.8. All this glass is so much faster.
Yeah.
Back then, Sony's marketing was, you don't need anything faster than f4 because it's a full frame sensor and your ISO sensitivity will allow you all the light you need.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I always thought that was interesting, and then like 5 years later, they're like, no, LOL, just kidding. Here's this $1,000 2.8, exactly what you needed.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. But I tell you, well, you know what's funny about Canon, and this is where Canon irritates people. And I get irritated with this one. They're fast, like when you get an f2.8, but they're not sharp until 4.0.
Oh, that sucks.
They're mushy. It's really soft at the
entire image, or just around the
pretty
edges?
much the entire image. If you're at let's say you're at 70 versus 200, it's soft at f2.8. When you go to 4, now it's getting sharp. Now it looks good, and it stays sharp till about 8, 9.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah. And so yeah, you get a lot more light in it.
Issue?
Yeah, you get light, but it's mushy in the beginning. Or soft. It's very soft.
Yeah, well, it's... And you can't... Unless someone's got a really flat face, you can't get their whole face in focus a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
for portraits, when you're on the wide end on the Canons.
Wow.
It's interesting. Yeah, so it's a kind of a funkiness with Canon, which you don't get with Sony, you don't get with Panasonic or Fuji. For some odd reason, I think Canon they made a fortune on that kind of soft style that they have. And it's a nice look, but it doesn't work for everything. And today everybody wants sharper. The Canon lenses can be sharp, but they're not sharp wide open. And when they are wide open, like for example, this camera I'm on right now, which is the XF, it's a camcorder, the XF 405. If we're at 4, I think we're at f4. If I go to f2.8, it's really soft, and it's only 2.8 for one little turn. I mean, you go from from f2.8, you're at 4.
Open.
There's nothing in between.
Ouch.
And it's like, So you have this great wide open lens that isn't so wide open or so useful at the wide open. So, those are the little gotchas, and I guess they all do it in one way or another.
I think where we are now, I think it's actually at like f3.7 or something like that. It's not at one of the normal stops. It's like at a kind of in-between stop.
Yeah, interesting. So, but yeah, that's when you get the sharpest on the Canons. But we were talking pre-show. The Canons are just built like bricks. They don't break.
Yeah.
I've been shooting Canon for over 20 years, and when I shoot Canon, it feels comfy. I don't always like the results as well as some of the other ones, but they're still good. It's just that they don't have as much dynamic range, at least now. Though they claim they're not going to lose any more on specs. That was their promise about a month ago. They said from now to the next 2 years, they're not going to lose anything on specs. So I can't wait to see if they keep to that.
Yeah, they better get the promise in, or they're going to lose everything on customers.
I know. They've lost 40% of the market already. But you know what's sad? 40%. They are still bigger.
Still number one.
Yeah, bigger. No, even worse. Bigger than every one of its competitors combined. That's big.
So we ought to be honored that they got out of bed to play today.
Yeah.
In all actuality, we should be thanking Canon. Thank you.
I'm just honored that they made the claim that they're going to do it, even if they don't.
It's so funny. I mean, but they are losing share, and I think that's why they're saying, okay, we're done. I wanted that 6D Mark II until I saw what they put on it. I went, damn, they did it again. They didn't put 4K. You only can focus in the center. I go, oh, come on. What gives?
6D Mark II, when I reviewed it, I was just baffled.
Yeah.
First of all, I've heard, and when you go to review something, you try to just like block out the noise. And I've heard people complaining about dynamic range. Perspectively speaking, I shoot micro four thirds. What is the dynamic range? How bad could it be on a full frame camera versus what I'm used to shooting?
Right.
And then I got these images back in Lightroom, and I see like this very unattractive grain in the shadows.
Yep.
Like is something wrong here? And then I started digging in the forums, and I'm like, no, that's what we mean by the dynamic range on this camera sucks.
Interesting.
Like I could not pull the shadows.
And they claim it's 13 stops, but it doesn't seem like it.
I don't know. It was, and then there's no 4K. Like, guys, these are the frustrating decisions. Like I want to, wherever Canon's headquarters is, I just want to wait outside when they go to lunch, and hey, can I talk to you? Can you just tell me? Because you know, these people are passionate. These people are smart. They've been in the business for so many years. They know what they're doing. Help me understand your decision behind this.
Because there's no logic.
That's all I just want to know.
There's no logic to it.
Like what?
I sit there going, cool. After 4 years, we got a 6D Mark II, and I want it. And I looked at it, I went, maybe I don't want it. It's like they've done nothing to this camera. And
they take away 4K,
nice.
So it's not for video?
Nope. No. Though they do shoot nice 1080 on it. But again, your focus, they have dual pixel, but you can only focus in the center. You can't move your focus box around. So I don't get it. I sit there and go, I don't get it. It's just... You know, I think we're all in that same kind of universe where it's a parallel universe. Canon's over there, and we're in this one. What are we missing? And I don't get it. Now, I'll tell you, on this Canon XF400, which is a camcorder, the XF200, which was the previous model, had a lot of manual controls. I love that. You had the rings, 3 rings. You had lots of buttons. They got rid of all that. You got 1 ring, and you get almost like 4 or 5 buttons. That's it. And I go, oh, man.
Interesting. So you could do focus pulling?
Yeah, you could do your focus. You could do your aperture and your...
Wow.
What was the other thing?
And now you can't.
Zoom. You could zoom, aperture or gain. And now you can't. Now you have... Yeah, you can do 2 things. It can do zoom or aperture. No, it does zoom or focus, not aperture. You got the stupid little round button underneath it, which is really small. And you got to kind of jiggle that to get, but you have to go through the menu to get to that one.
It's got like a special menu that you need to use to change the functionality of the wheel. So it's not the same as having 3 rings there, because you have to go through menus and all that.
And you just go, why?
Why?
Yeah. Have you ever seen this guy on the web? The channel is Camera Conspiracies.
Oh, this sounds like something I need to see.
You got to go see it. He's hilarious. There's a guy named Casey Stern. I think he's from Toronto or somewhere. It was either New York or Toronto. I think he came from Toronto. He lives in Thailand now. I guess he had some sort of issue where he was feeling sick and his digestive system was a mess, and he wanted to heal himself. He didn't want the meds. He didn't want surgery. He said, I'm going to go heal myself. But he's also a camera lover. And he's got this... He sings his own music on it, and the songs are hilarious. It's always like, all I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera. And then he starts talking about, he says Nikon. He goes, Nikon, your autofocus system seems to always focus on an invisible hamster. Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? and it's like that for every brand, for Canon, for Panasonic, it's funny. And Sony, he goes, Sony, you come out with the perfect camera, but you don't have a flippy screen. Why'd you do it?
Yeah, that's funny.
And he's good because he just beats him to the ground, and he's right. He goes, like, that's one of the main reasons I sold the Sonys. I go, we lost money on them, but I didn't care. At that point, it was, okay, we got some experience on Sony. It was good, but not one of them had a flip screen. And I love the flip screens because we're always trying to see, and we also do a lot of, not selfie shots, but we do selfie blog posts and stuff like that. So it helps if we can see what we're doing without having to set up a whole rig on top of it. It makes it much more difficult.
I was shooting video with my A7 Mark II for a while.
Yeah.
I could not see what I was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd be off to the left like, oh, well, I'll call it a creative composition today because there's no way I'm fixing that.
Yeah.
It is what it was.
And I don't get it. It's not that expensive to put a hinge in. I mean, really, it's not. You got hinges everywhere. Why don't they do it? Why not make it? And everybody's complaining about the same thing everywhere. And it's like everybody's in a vacuum, whether it's Sony, whether it's, it's like, what planet are you guys on?
I always tell people you can't allow your bias to review someone else's experience.
No.
So usually what I do, how I judge what's really happening, is I need to hear from the Canon guys how Canon is doing.
Yeah.
Every time I check in with the Canon guys, they're just like, I don't know what Canon's doing. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. So you got like all these professional photographers and these fanboys on the Mark II version, and there's actually the Mark V version just came out. They're like, no, I'm not supporting it. And you know, it's the same for Sony. It's like, and I wish they would just. I wish we could hold these companies to a level of accountability. You get on the stage, tell me why you made this change. Yeah, because a lot of smartphone companies, a lot of these big tech companies do that. Right?
Actually, I don't know if you saw this one. I think it was 1 or 2 Photokinas ago. I've never been to Photokina, but I've watched all the reviews, and there was one guy interviewing. I don't know who he was, but he was interviewing somebody at Sony on their. Is it A5? It's not the A9. It's not part of that Sony line. It's the bigger cameras. They look like big DSLRs, but they're mirrorless.
Oh, the A55.
Maybe
so
it's
like a hybrid between a mirrorless and an SLR.
Yes, that's it. And it looked like I was going, man, that looks like the perfect camera.
It actually was.
And then they did something. They didn't let you change anything when you do video. I think you can't change your ISO. You can't change yours. It's like you get auto in video. And they were talking to the Japanese engineer at the show, and he goes, no, that is by design. We do not want you to change your setting. And the guy goes, well, what if I want to change it? You don't change it. We make decision for you better. And I was thinking, oh, wow, you guys are really tone deaf. And, you know, that camera was a total flop. It didn't sell anything. It just didn't sell.
No, it didn't sell. It actually used the older mounts, the A mount too.
The A mount, and which again, there aren't that many lenses. There's some lenses, but it was weird. Why are they coming out with something that's competing with the newer cameras that doesn't do anything for video, for example, except what they want? When you have the engineer saying, "We did it for us. We know what you want," I was going, "Oh, that engineer is going to get canned." That was mine.
He's probably running the company next year. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. You're right. You're right. No, he'll move over to Canon and run it.
It's ridiculous.
It's an interesting world. You know, and I think we're all about the same. We just want cameras that work, that do a good job, that you don't have to curse at every time you use it. And you know, with Canon, I like using Canons. I just don't like some of the limitations. A lot of what we do is still in 1080p because you don't need 4K for everything, and we do corporate video. Corporate videos, by the time you're done, it's 640p. It's really teeny.
Yeah, it's on a little website somewhere in a corner.
Exactly, and they only would show it internally, and they don't want anybody to waste bandwidth. So if we shoot 4K, for the editing, it's fine. But in the last thing we did, we shot 16 hours straight, literally, and 4K would have cost us a ton in chips for in cards for no reason. So we didn't do it. We just shot with, I think we used the SanDisk Extreme 255 gigs. It ran beautifully, the 95 megabytes per second write, and it was perfect. It just came out well. If we had done 4K, it would have looked Harold and I were testing this, a tad.
A little sharper, a little more detailed.
A little, but not that much. And it's almost the same. And we decided, you know what, the 1080 looks just as good. For all intents and purposes, it wasn't that much different.
Yeah, and
it's all the light. Sorry, Howard, go ahead.
And then in the end, they just scale it down to like 640 pixels wide anyway. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
they put it on their phone and they send it in a text message, and then you're like, "No, guys, no, you can't do that." It's like, "No, it looks fine. It looks fine."
Yeah, it looks good. We don't care. It's right. But is that a person's head? No, that's his head. Is perfectly in focus. But all you see is like a mouth. No, that's perfect.
Yep, it's craziness.
It's interesting. Now you do other things. You besides shooting video and photo and doing that. Do you do that professionally, or do you do other things also full time?
So I don't get sleep at night. But I am an IT professional.
How are you?
I am a IT manager. I've been in the industry for 15 years now. So
that's what I most have loved about you. I'm an old IT pro. I spent 25 years in IT.
I think a lot of photographers start in IT.
I know, and then we all go into the creative arts. But
it's a getaway from work, so we don't come to work.
It is. No, I was in IT for a long time. I worked at Marsh & McLennan. I worked at some, and then home as a companies, publishing firms, and then from IT, we started doing IT consulting, implementing distribution, manufacturing packages, financial systems. And we did that for about 10 years, maybe a little longer. And then we got into training and e-learning because we couldn't find programmers. It's that there were no programmers to be had where we are. And we just said, oh, forget it. Let's not even fight this anymore. So we changed. We went into something that required tech, but it was different.
Yeah, ultimately times more fun, I suppose.
And that's funny because, the IT background's not a bad background. I think I got out of it pretty much around 2000. We were still in it, but we stopped doing a lot of. We still use IT consulting when we do certain things in multimedia, but not as much. And so we went to more of a media type thing. But I tell you, IT is probably still my first love. It was always a great career, and it was fun.
Yeah, I definitely have a passion for it. I mean, that's what lends a lot of the perspective when people ask me questions about these different cameras. Some of them I haven't even owned it. It's just your ability as an IT professional to sit down and read useless information is very heightened. And that makes you perfect for decoding things that regular people just don't understand.
It's so true. That's a good way to put it. That's funny. But that's great. So you know what? You're like all of us. You like what you're doing. It's a great hobby. You do it professionally on the side too, and you're doing podcasts on it, which I love. That's just great. And so what are you shooting yourself with on the podcast? Are you shooting with one of your own cameras? Or are you doing a cell phone?
I got a G7.
Oh, great. Okay, so
I love that camera. So one of the interesting parts about going back to your point about the Fuji, the Fuji has this 120 frame per second option, slow motion.
Yeah.
I don't have that on the G7. So I actually went back and reshot some of the intros for our sneaker channel.
Yeah.
In 120 frames a second. I almost lost my mind. I could not believe
amazing, right? Yeah.
How much better everything is in slow motion.
Now, if you go up one in Panasonic from the G7 to like the G9 or the G85.
Is it G9 or the GH4?
The GH4, well, the GH4 is the older one now. It's a GH5. That'll do 120. The GH4, I think, does 120.
The G9 does, or the 85?
No, it does quite a bit also, but it doesn't. I'm trying to remember if it shot you down even more on resolution.
Yeah, it brings you down in the resolution.
But I'm not sure if it's 1080p or even lower in the really high. I think it might go to 12 because it's not considered a video camera, though it shoots really good video.
Yeah.
But you just go one up, and I think even the GX85 I think does that. I think it shoots slow motion at 120.
I considered getting an 85 because the 85 is also stabilized in the camera, right?
Yeah. It does both.
So that's a pretty big deal there.
Yeah, we have the G9 and we've got a couple of the GH5s. It is amazing on the G9 and the G. You could just pan with your hand, one-handed, not even, and it looks like you're on a tripod or you're on a gimbal. It's just mind-boggling how well that looks.
Yeah,
I'm sold.
It looks relatively stable when I'm shooting handheld, and like I tell Rick, I'm like a chihuahua on a espresso when I'm filming. I'm like,
He's a little shaky, but you know what? It's not bad. It's clear.
All right.
He shot
the G9.
The G9 is a beautiful camera. There's only one thing.
G85 is a rangefinder form factor.
Yes,
right?
it's more like a rangefinder. Yep.
Okay.
The G9 is, I think it's like $1,600 right now. That one is their top of the line photo camera. And I tell you, this is why I sold the Sonys. When I saw the quality coming out of the G9, and I looked at the A9, they're both almost 20. It's 21 megapixel on the Panasonic. I actually think the Panasonic looked better, and I was going, oh man, I can't believe it. This is a $4,200 camera, and this $1,600. And I put something like the. I have one really expensive lens. It's like a $1,400 lens on Panasonic, and that's the. It's an f1.2, the Noctachron. It's a Leica Panasonic Noctachron.
Manual focus?
No, autofocus, and it is beautiful. The color and the sharpness of that lens is mind-boggling.
What's the focal length?
42.5, which becomes a 90.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, it becomes an 85. It's gorgeous.
Okay.
And at night, and it's built for nighttime, f1.2. It just eats light. You could go out there, you barely have to add gain at night, and it's just like, wow. I shot some stuff in Vegas one time and some stuff by the waterfront. It's just amazing. That is one of the brightest lenses out there, short of going to something like, what do they call it? They're like f9.0 or 8.9. It's, but they're manual focus. What's it called? I'm trying to remember the name. It doesn't sound like a Japanese company, but it is.
Voigtlander? Is it
Voigtlander. Yeah. But I don't want manual focus. I'm just not crazy about it.
No, I mean, there's no reason for me to get out my car and push with my feet anymore.
No.
I'm over that.
I got bad eyes. If I'm doing manual focus, there's no guarantee I've got anything in focus. So It's like, no, I don't want to do that. But
I got to tell you, there's something special about Micro Four Thirds. Because when I got my first Micro Four Thirds, I was in need of something smaller because my street photography kit at that time was a Sony A7 II. With a LEA4 adapter, with an A mount.
Oh, with an A mount.
24 to 70 2.8 lens.
It was huge, right?
It was huge.
Huge, yeah.
And I mean, I never complained about an image. Even if the image was bad, it was good.
Yeah.
Never complained about it. But I just couldn't walk around every day with that camera. Yeah. So I ended up at the OMD EM10 Mark II. They'll probably throw another 4 letters on there next year. And
now let me ask you. You said you're a big guy. Olympus. I bought the EM5. I think it was. It's the other one, not the OMD, but the other one. Yeah, I think it's an EM5. I can't remember the model number.
Yeah, the EM10 is the EM5.
I returned it after 2 days. My hands couldn't get into to hold.
It's cramped.
There was no room. I was going. I felt like Frankenstein. I couldn't get it to work. And there were so many buttons. I was going, this is overkill. I mean, I like having the buttons, but I can't get my hand on the grip because the lens is too big. I can't read the buttons because they have little 4-point font. I'm going, oh, this is torture. And I took it back, and I think I got the 7D Mark II at the time, and they were laughing. And the Canon guys at Sammy's camera over here go, we told you you'd be back. I go, no, I'm not back for this. It's just that he gave it to me for $1,000, so I took it. Yeah. It was a nice camera. I liked it, except no flippy screen, no up and down, nothing. But it did shoot nice sports pictures. It was fast. I tried doing like some martial arts sequences in it. You could do like a lot of moves real fast. Everything's in focus. It was perfectly in focus. I was going, wow, this is nice. But it was heavy. The lenses were double heavy. And I sold it. I went, I really like it, but 2 years later it was gone. It just, I don't know. You said in one of your videos, I don't sell my cameras. Come on out here for a week. We'll teach you how to sell cameras. We have sold so many over the last 2 years.
I have to now. I think my girlfriend's on the couch. I can't sneak any more in here, so I got to start something. I'm at that point. So I'm looking at the A7 III, but of course that means I got to get rid of the A7 II, which I'm fine.
Now, there are some issues with it. There are some limitations. I'm trying to remember. One of them had to do with either autofocus.
With the A7 III?
On the A7 III, there are some limits. When you go into 4K, you can't do certain things. You can't change it. There were issues that were pretty weird limitations that I didn't care for.
What is it called when the camera makes straight lines wobbly? I can't remember.
With maybe spherical lenses or something? I don't know.
Oh my God, I can't remember this name. But because, and this is what I thought was super interesting when I was looking for a video camera specifically for the channel, and I didn't go back to Sony. I went with the G7.
Yeah.
The Sony cameras, because the full frame sensor is so large and it's collecting so much data, it can't collect all the required data from bottom of the sensor to the top of the sensor. And because of that latency, so to speak, the effect you get are straight line objects are wobbly.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but it's an artifact of big CMOS sensors. Like it doesn't happen with CCDs, but
it doesn't happen with APS-C, and it doesn't happen with Micro Four Thirds.
No, yeah, because they're small.
Have you noticed at all? Because I have seen this on the A9 a little bit, banding. Not a lot, but every so often with certain lighting, I got banding, and I was going, "Oh man, banding, that's bad." And it was noticeable on some of the stuff I did, especially if there was artificial light like fluorescence, banding. There was, especially under fluorescence, there was enough that you could see.
In photos or video?
That was video.
Oof. That was video.
You remember that, Harold? We got a little bit of banding, not much. Oh, the rolling shutter.
Yes.
Yep. And oh, by the way, all the Sonys have horrific rolling shutter right now. I don't know why. Now, mind you, most people don't go like this.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, there's an entire YouTube community trying to be Casey Neistat, and they do go like that.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Because I don't think I've ever really had rolling shutter. Well, most cameras have a little bit, but on the whole, you don't see it much. Canons don't. They're just not fast enough to get rolling shutter. I think they don't care. So it's
Canon's smart. They're like, no 4K. Get out of here.
Yeah, no 4K. You will never have rolling shutter.
What do you want, batteries next? What's wrong with you? Get out of here with that.
Hey, Ramona, we don't want to keep you any longer. It's already 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock your time, and got to get you to dinner. But, hey, promise to come back on the show?
Listen, I am honored to be here, and whenever you need me, send out that email. I'll be here.
We will. You're just a great guy, fun to have on, and just love talking to you. And so we're glad you could make it today, and what a pleasure. Oh, have you shown his channel at all? You have been showing it. Okay, so let's show the channel. We'll put your channels also on the show notes.
Ah, thank you. I try to. I don't know. I haven't failed yet, so I'll keep trying until someone like Tony Northor shows up and like, guy, what are you saying?
Hey, I'll tell you, we've invited some of the quote-unquote big guys. We've actually interviewed almost all the big guys, all the really well-known guys. But a couple of, they come on, and say, hey, we'd like you to come on. They go, what's the reach? Well, about, I don't know, 6 inches, 8 inches, depending how far. It's like, what's the reach? Yeah. Oh, man, you were a rat bastard.
Or anything,
you tell them, it's like, a year ago, you were a rat bastard in a sewer. Now, all of a sudden, it's, what's the reach? I'm popular. It's like I tell people, when you're going up and everybody thinks you're rich and important, they're all there. But when you're going down, you're going to be lonely.
Down, it's a nightmare, yeah.
You're going to be lonely. And, a little wisdom, be nice to people. It's always a good thing. But, hey, we really appreciate you coming on, though, seriously. And next time I'm in New York, I'll give you a call. Maybe we can get together, have lunch or dinner or breakfast, whatever.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. It'll be fun.
Cigars are my thing, so cigars
I heard Brooklyn's becoming really nice now, too. They were telling me the other day that Brooklyn's really coming up. They're, like, redoing all parts of it now.
Nice would be a substitute for expensive. It's crazy expensive.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah, real estate's out of control, but there's no place on God's green earth I would rather be.
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
Hey, you guys have good pizza there. I still remember that growing up. Yes. Oh, man, do I miss New York pizza. There's nothing out here. We have people saying, this is just like New York pizza. Yeah, New York what? In Afghanistan? This is not New York pizza.
It's cheese, yes.
Yeah, it's not even cheese. It's this stuff that doesn't even melt. It's just disgusting.
Oh, no.
It's not cheese. It's not the real stuff, like, kind of gets stringy. It's just like Pizza Hut says, we got New York pizza. You try it and go, it's plasticized. Oof. What is this? Ugh, bad.
Sorry.
I'm jealous of the good food over there. It's good. Well, hey, Ramon, a pleasure again seeing you. If you want to get in touch with Ramon or watch his website, just go to our show notes, click on that. You'll get to see his channel and stuff. And Ramon, have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.